Hi guys, hi everyone. Welcome to our Friday weekly Ask Me Any Stock session, guys. Today is the US edition. If you guys can see and hear me loud and clear, just type a one in chat. Let me just acknowledge all of you. Some of you have joined us and you are early. I think we have more than 80 of you joining us here today. Thank you so much. Let's see who is here joining us live today. Friday, 10:30 a.m. looking at the US market. Just type a one, guys. Type a GM for good morning as well. Let me acknowledge all of you for just being here. Thank you so much. Hi, good morning, Colin. Good to see you as well. Hi, David. A lot of familiar names, right? Familiar faces as well. Chi-Sing, hi. Good to see you here every single Friday. You're joining us. Thank you so much, Chi-Sing. All right, hopefully today we'll cover your US stock as well, Chi-Sing. All right. Hi, Lu Ming Guo. Hi, Doris. Geraldine, good morning. Steven, Styler, Styler, I think you're here every week as well, right? Good to see you here as well, all right? Let's see, Jeannie, while you're typing the US stock that you want an opinion on, we try to see if we can cover that later as well. Hi, Wilson. All right, so good morning, guys. Good morning. This seems to be working pretty good. All right, Damien, good morning as well. Victor, good morning. Serena, one. All right, let's get started today. Ask me any stocks, US market, right? US market. So those of you who have been joining us, today you are just scrolling through Facebook and YouTube, or essentially every Friday since the beginning of the year, right? We have been doing what we call weekly AMAS session. What's the name of this session called? Well, Ask Me Any Stocks, right? So today will be the US market. Last Friday was Singapore, right? So today is US. Next Friday we'll be back to Singapore. So we're doing like alternate, right? US, Singapore. And that's what we're doing. So we go on about like 1.5 to 2 hours. So we do a quick market outlook, right? Looking at the key indices in the markets, right? The Dow Jones, the S&P 500 index, right? Because today we're looking at the US market. And after that, as the name goes for this session, right? Let us know the US stocks that you want a quick opinion on, right? So when you type in the chat later, or right now as well, what happens is that you want to give us a bit of context on the US stocks, right? Like, whether it's NVDA or Apple or any US stocks, right? Essentially, but just give us a bit of context. Like, are you looking to buy? Are you maybe holding on to it? Maybe you bought like last week or something like that. You have no idea what to do. Give us a bit of context so we can, kind of like advise accordingly based on what you tell us. But if you just put a name there like IBM, yeah. What about IBM do you want to know about, right? So give us a bit of context. I think that will be really helpful as well, right? So at the end of this session, essentially there will be 3 US stocks that me, Bervin, and Z, my mentors, right? 3 of us will each share with you 1 US stock that you might want to put in your watch list for potentially more upside, because we have seen weakness and huge volatility, massive sell down over the past 1-2 weeks, right? But these are stocks whereby I think it still looks pretty okay, all right? We do see a little bit of a reversal, bullish signals coming out on my indicator, the One Good Trend Pro indicator as well. So you stay all the way to the end if you want to know what are the 3 stocks that you can potentially, all right, get in at a very attractive price level to ride this opportunity, probably a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that we are seeing over the past 2 weeks. All right. So how many of you want me to cover the market right now? Just a quick market outlook. Where are we right now for the market? Are we bullish or bearish? Can we hit lower? Just type M for markets, guys. If you guys want me to cover the markets very quickly, just to give you guys an idea of where we are right now, just type M for market. While I go through some of the US stocks that you guys are asking about, let me know. Just type M for markets. If maybe more than 10 of you type M, then we might go through the markets. If not, might just skip this session overall. All right, M market. All right, so yeah, quite a lot of you asking about the market. So why not just do a quick coverage of the markets right now, right? Mini markets, Yihui markets, all right, Cheong markets. I think people want to know about the markets, and then now it's very volatile, right? So, yep, that's good. We'll do a quick market outlook. But before that, guys, let me just do a quick introduction of my team members, my mentors, who have been with me for more than 4 to 5 years now. And let me just introduce to you Bervin, right? But before I introduce my team, Bervin and Z, let me just introduce myself in case you are just scrolling through YouTube and Facebook. You have no idea who am I? Why am I talking to you? Why should you even be listening to us over the next 1 hour plus 2 hours, right? Well, my name is Joey Choy, top tier MyZero trader in Philips Securities. I've been doing this for more than a decade, all right, conducting webinars, training, and also, assisting our team's fund manager business as well, all right? And yeah, one of the top brokers in Philips Securities, conducting our trainings for our graduates and mentees, right? So pretty much focus on technical analysis based on my one good trend strategy. So I have this indicator called the One Good Trend Pro indicator. Later we'll share with you guys and use it to cover your stocks and get an opinion in seconds. So I've been doing more than 10 years now, and later you can take a look at our analysis and my team as well. But I want to introduce guys my team, Bervin. So Bervin has been with me, one of the top brokers under me in Phillip Securities, more than 4 to 5 years under me already, conducting our group coaching sessions, our one-on-one trainings with our mentees, assisting our portfolio fund manager as well with the fund management business. And so this is Bervin, and Bervin is also a CFA chartered holder, chartered financial analyst. So those of you who are in the banking and finance space, this is one of the highest qualification one can ever get. So maybe let's just pass on the mic to Bervin to say a few things before we begin today's session.
Hi everyone. Thanks, Joey, for the introduction. Okay, as per usual, I think we are here to actually give you guys a little bit of an insight on what's going on in the market at the present. Then, of course, you can see that market has been very, very volatile. The US market, Singapore market inclusive as well, seeing a little bit of upswing, downswing. I think a lot of people are asking, hey, whether is it time to buy? Is it time to hold? Yeah, but I think all these are very, very valid questions as well. But right here, I think we want to try to be sometimes a little bit patient. We try to break down those movements as well. You have to see where are we currently standing. So I think you should stay tuned all the way to the end for some of those stocks that actually are still looking quite good in the market as of this period as well. So also do help us to subscribe and like so you can continue to follow us on a weekly basis. Join us to continue to get new insights on the market weekly as well. So I'll pass the time back to Joey before anything else. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much, Bervin. Yeah, so guys, go ahead. I mean, if you have not yet liked, followed, subscribe to the channel, all right, make sure you do it now, guys. So when we go live in the future every Friday, you will not miss out as well. So go do that. Hit the like button. Please help us out as well. Just click on share. Just click on share as well, so we can reach out to more people as well. That will really do us a huge favor. Just click on share. All right, thank you so much for doing that. Give us some love and likes as well. Thank you so much for all the hearts over here. All right. Okay, so let me introduce to you Z as well. Z has been with me more than 4 to 5 years now. Also one of the top brokers in Phillip Securities under me. All right, and conducting our group coaching sessions, one-on-one sessions with our mentees, and also assisting our portfolio manager for the managed account business as well. Right. So Z is what we call a chartered market technician, CMT. If you're talking about anything technical analysis, anything to do with charts, right? Any type of charts, candlestick charts, what Z is the go-to person, very well versed in my one good trend strategy as well. And because Z has her own opinion and she will share with you her take on those stocks that you guys are asking about as well. So Z, maybe I'll just pass on the mic to you. Maybe just share a little bit on yourself.
All right, thanks so much, Joey. Hi everyone, my name is Z. Very happy to actually be joining everybody here today and seeing so many familiar names once again, right? I think many of you here are actually also client of us and also, quite maybe having some questions and doubt as to what is actually going on in the market, right? So hopefully today, all three of us will be able to shed some lights in terms of what is actually going on, what potentially can you do, and which stocks are the ones that you can maybe position yourself to look for potential entries, right? Especially when it is near at those key support levels, whereby we will take a look at it with Joey's one good trend 1GT Pro indicator later on as well to give you a quick opinion on the stock. Okay, so without further ado, I'll pass the time back over to Joey to actually kickstart today's session.
All right, thank you so much. So let's get started today. All right, a lot of stocks to cover. We'll do our best. All right, and same thing, guys. Our apologies if we cannot cover all the stocks that you guys are asking about. There's more than 50, 60 over stocks. We cover maybe about 10, 15, 20 stocks each session. All right, so we'll do our best. But give us some time. All right. So very quickly, just a quick disclaimer, guys. Whatever that's being shared today, just for education purpose only, right? So please do your own due diligence. All right, it is really not to ask you to buy or sell anything, or not to buy or not to sell, but essentially just to give you an idea of what's happening in the markets. Do your own homework. All right, the standard disclaimer that we have to share. All right, so let me go ahead to just share my screen right now and pull out the charts for the market. So now let's talk about the market. Since a lot of you has asked about markets, I want to go through very quickly the Dow Jones right now. All right, and let's see what has happened over the past 1 to 2 weeks, right? So those of you who have been following the news, all right, well, essentially, you can see that it's one of the massive sell-off we have seen compared to the past 2, 3, 4, 5 years since COVID, right? What is the reason for the sell-off? Well, for those of you who have not been following the news, well, essentially, Donald Trump has unleashed, right, sweeping tariffs. He called it reciprocal tariffs on dozens of countries. Even Singapore got hit with a 10% baseline tariffs as well, all right? And now it has escalated a little bit into a tit-for-tat war with China. So, tariffs for China, all right, China goods coming into the US, it was, increased it by 34%. So it became like 54%. 54 add another 50%. Now it's like 104 plus add another 20. Now I think it's like 125 or maybe 140%, right? So China retaliated. And US, Donald Trump increased the tariffs for China even more. So that has escalated a little bit in terms of China, all right? And that was why we saw weakness over the past 2 weeks. But just last night, we saw one of the greatest rally, right? One of the greatest rally in history, whereby the S&P 500, even the Dow Jones has spiked up more than 8, 9, 10%. Never really seen that before, all right? And it spiked up a lot. Why? Why? Because Donald Trump has came out, as a surprise U-turn, saying that there is a 90 days pause, right? 90 days pause in the reciprocal tariffs for many of the countries back to the baseline 10%, back to the baseline. Not cancel, guys, just pause only, right? And it's not like cancel everything back to zero. No. It's back to the original, right? The baseline 10%, right? 90 days pause back to the baseline. And that was a huge positive news, because all this while it's just about more and more, all right, and a lot of uncertainty. But just 2 nights back on like Wednesday, all right, what happens was, he decided to just put a pause, 90 days pause. But for China, no, because China retaliated, so China went even higher, and the market just rode on that and started buying up, all right, and we saw a massive spike in the markets. But just last night, Thursday night, well, we saw markets coming down by 2 to 3% again, right? So let's dive. So that's been pretty much the news that's happening in the markets. Well, even for Singapore as well, I think it is still, we're not, I've been talking about it over the past few sessions as well, right? We're not entirely out of the woods yet. This is still beginning, right? It remains to be seen in terms of how the economy and even Singapore being a very open economy, heavily reliant on trade as well. PM Wong is even setting up a task force for this, right? To see how he can support our economy and all that, right? So it still, has not flowed down into the economy yet, and it can escalate into a full-blown global trade war. Then not so good, right? As I say, this is a 90 days pause, right? Not a cancellation forever kind of thing. No, right? It's a 90 days pause, right? And that was what happened, right? When he introduced it in February, he paused it for 1 month. All right, he paused it for 1 month, and in April, the pause ended and it came. All right, so the question is, what happened after 90 days on like 9 and 10 of July? Right, will it just go back again, and then the market starts coming down again? Right, that remains to be seen. And you can see Donald Trump is always going back and forth. Right, it could be a 90 days. Tomorrow, he might say 90 days become 30 days. All right, and then it becomes like another shock again, right? So things can change. So overall, there's still a lot of uncertainty in the markets right now. We're not entirely out of the woods, and I would say that in the short term, we unfortunately can still see weakness. So you can see that this is the Dow Jones very quickly, right? And I have turned on my One Good Trend Pro indicator. So those of you who have been following me for a while, essentially I have this One Good Trend strategy, right, that I've been using for more than a decade now. And based on this strategy, I have this One GT Pro, or the One Good Trend Pro indicator. If you want to find out more, guys, we'll just place the link in the chat. Attend one of those free webinars in the future. We have probably a webinar in the next month, right? Nothing next week or next week, right? Probably a month's time. And then a free webinar to learn a bit more on this strategy. The link is in the chat. But essentially for this strategy, right, or this indicator, we can just turn it on with a click of a button, pump, and there we go. We get signals, like buy and sell signals, not random signals or no meaning kind of signals. No, right? We get bullish and bearish signals telling us what to do, where to get in, when to get out. So you can see for Dow Jones, well, in fact, last year, we had that was in 2023, we got a bearish signal, it starts coming down, a bullish signal in November 2023, the short-term trend turned up, and there we go, all the way up. All right, a couple of bullish signals, it went up. But let's take a look at what has happened over the past 1 month. So, over the past week, right, we sort of heavily, right, 5% in a day, 5% in a day for the entire market. But if you look at it even further, well, we actually had a bearish signal, all right, coming out in the markets, right over here, somewhere on 27th of February. So we got a bearish signal. You can see that the short-term trend actually started to turn down. The green 20 days moving average line actually started to turn down. So the short-term trend is still down. In fact, we have hit it lower based on this bearish signal. So even though yesterday, right, not yesterday, but on Wednesday night we rebounded, but you see, right, last night we sold off again, all right? So the selling is still there, right? People would like to take some profit every time it rebounds a little bit. All right, we're not entirely out of the woods yet, as I mentioned, right? So short-term trend is down. Bearish signal is still in play. All right, let's see what could be like a resistance level for now. Well, I would say that this 41,000, maybe you can just write it down. I think 41,000 would be maybe a bit of a resistance. It was where we rebounded, we broke down, also where the 20 days moving average line is as well. So the market, I think, would still be bearish, all right, as long as we stay below the 41 or maybe 40,000. We could still be bearish in the short term. What about the, support, whereby some bargain hunting is coming back. Buyers are slowly starting to get in and buy a little bit. Well, for the Dow Jones, especially if you are trading like the entire index, buying the ETF, well, you could go ahead to think about this level. I think this level right over here, 37,000, all right? It could be somewhere around that 37,000 to 38,000. Look at this, right? We are pretty much back to where we were in December 2023, right over here, right? Or January last year, right over here. You can see that was where we rebounded. And in fact, just one few days back, we hit it towards the 37,000 and rebounded as well. So that will become like the immediate support level for the Dow Jones. Overall, I would say that would be the range. We are still negative in the short term below that 41,000 or below 40,000. All right, short-term trend down, bearish signal is still in play. All right, it's still in play. So let me just take a look at very quickly at maybe the S&P 500 index to see what it says. So same thing, guys, for the S&P 500 index, right? 2 weeks back, we did the US session as well. Ask me any stock. And I mentioned, right, the same two bearish signal coming out, right? That was 2 weeks back, right? Before this whole, unleashing of the tariffs by Donald Trump just last Friday, right? That was 2 weeks back. And you can see we already had two bearish signals. It came down even more, right? The short-term trend, the green line, all right, is it pointing up or down? Right, this green line obviously is still pointing down. All right, so the short-term trend unfortunately is still down. We have two confirmations of it still pointing down. So some of you might say, hey, but 2 nights ago we rebounded heavily. Wow, a very strong bullish bar. Yeah, indeed, right. It was a pretty good reversal rally, right? So I can draw this resistance level right now. I think you want to write down for the S&P 500 index, 5,500. All right, 55. Right, 5,500. It was a support. Rebounded, went back up, retested, eventually pump. All right, when it came, we just broke down. And even Wednesday night when we rebounded, right, we neared it and we pushed back down. We pushed away. Last night, we were like, kind of like just gap down a little bit, and it was a bearish candle as well. So I think 5,500 for the S&P 500 index would still be a very immediate resistance level. If you stay below it, unfortunately, still negative, bearish in the short term. What about a support coming out? Well, so those of you who are looking to, really try to nibble a little bit, get in on this. So to be honest, guys, I mean, some of you are saying, hey, but Joey is really cheap, right? It's really cheap. I do agree, right? It's really one of the very rare opportunities. Like even we have seen the selling. Let's go back to maybe 2023, right? Look at it right over here. So in 2023, we saw some selling in July. All the way down, we got bearish signals. Bearish starts going down all the way by about 11%. Right over here for about 2 months. And we got a bullish signal coming out and it starts rebounding all the way up, right? A bearish signal came down, another bullish signal, it starts rebounding all the way up. So my question to you guys is this, right? Have we seen a bullish signal yet? No, all right. It hasn't come out yet, right? Probably not today, probably not tomorrow, maybe not next week. I don't know, right? But we haven't seen a bullish signal yet. So if you are, thinking that it will start to recover very quickly, like what we have seen over here, or over here, all right, or even over here, all the way, haven't yet, because we haven't seen the bullish signal. Is it a very clear reversal signal yet? Has it came out? No. He hasn't come back. All right, he hasn't come out yet. I don't know when it come out. Maybe next week, next month, next month, maybe after the 90 days. I don't know, right? But right now, it hasn't come back yet, right? So it has not appeared. So we're not exactly seeing a very, very bullish reversal signal. Wow, tomorrow is going all the way up to 5,000, 6,000, 7,000. We are in the bull market back. No. I think that is probably not the case right now. All right, we are unfortunately still seeing some bearishness in the short term. All right. So the question is that if we are seeing bearishness in the short term, right? So some people always ask me, like, hey, Joey, I know we can be seeing, selling the short term, but I'm okay. I would like to buy at a discount at a very attractive price level. If I'm keeping for 5 years or 10 years, in the long term, it will go up. Yeah, no problem, right? So the question is that, hey, what are some of those levels that you can think about getting in? Well, let's discover it and let's see what are some of the support levels. Well, I would say 4,800. All right, 4,008 would be a pretty good support. That was where we rebounded from a couple of days back. Look at this, right? 4,008. And maybe if I can just give another support level whereby I think it will be really, really attractive if we hit there, right? 4,600. That was pretty much where we were back in 2023, right? Whereby we saw a resistance here, down, pam, we broke the 4,006. There we go. So anything from 4,006 to 4,000. I'm not saying that you go there, guys. I mean, I'm just saying that, if we really do hit that, to be honest, it looks really, 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 really very attractive. So, yeah, in the short term, it might hit down a little bit. But if you are, those kind who just want to nibble, the word is nibble, not to whack and buy everything in, no, right? But if you just want to nibble a little bit at some of those very attractive levels, like some of the stocks that we'll be talking about later as well, right? You can do it, but just take note, you just want to be careful, right? Bit by bit. For example, if you want to buy like maybe 10 shares or you want to buy like 100 shares, well, just buy 10% of it, right? Buy 1 or 2 or 3 bit by bit, nibble a little bit because it looks really attractive. When we do get a huge or a firmer confirmation, right, of a reversal move, that's where we want to load up a bit more, right? But if not, it will just be a bit of a nibbling just to try to time time your entry to get in a little bit by bit because these are very, very attractive levels. All right. So what do you want to look out for in terms of a firm reversal? Well, something like this right over here. Look at this, right? Is that exactly? Look at this, right? So it was down. The green 20 days moving average line started to go all the way back up. That is what we want to see. All right. We want to see a green 20 days moving average line, the short-term trend turning back up. Is it turning back up now? No, it's down. All right. It's down right now. All right. Have we seen a bullish signal coming out from here? All right. Like what we see previously in 2023. Has it appeared yet? I mean, if we can take this and kind of like copy and paste it over here or maybe over here or here or here. I have no idea, right? But if it comes out over there and we do see the 20 days moving average line, this green line, obviously you can see it's sloping down right now, right? So it goes down, and maybe it just starts to, goes back up right here, like what we have seen previously. Does it make sense, guys, so far? All right, like this, right? That would be a firmer reversal. That's where you want to probably load up more. If not, it's probably just a little bit of nibbling mindset. Get in on chips, don't need to rush because we can still see some weakness in the short term. All right, could be up to a few weeks to a month or 2 or 3 months. With this 90 days pause, it could even be a little bit longer. All right, so that is kind of like my take on the markets, the S&P 500 index. All right. Okay, so now let's go ahead to cover the stocks that you guys want. But before I talk about it, how many of you are a little bit clearer on the market? Just type C for clear. Guys, if you are a little bit clearer on what is happening in the market, some of the key levels, just type C for clear. If you are clear before we go on to take a look at the US stocks that you guys want, or just type in the chat. All right, thank you so much, VJ. Clear, all right, very good. I hope all of you are clear right now. You have a better understanding of where we are in the markets and what to do right now. Whether is it you want to nibble some, maybe you want to get out. If it does rebound to certain resistance, get out, take some profit. That's fine as well. All right, Chester, I want to nibble some in new. Which support can I buy? All right, okay, very good. Let's find out in a bit. Okay, so let me just go through right now. And how it works, guys, is this, right? For those of you who are just joining us, welcome to our Ask Me Any US Stocks live session. I just gone through the markets, the Dow Jones, and even the S&P 500 index, right? So what you want to do right now is go ahead to type in the names and a bit of context, right, of the US stocks that you want a quick opinion on, and me and my team will do our best to cover it, right? So I'll just go through the support level. I think Amanda, you're asking about the local banks, right? DBS, OCBC, UOB. Well, we'll not be covering the Singapore market today. Right, today's US market. Last Friday was Singapore. Next Friday, then you can join us, Amanda. All right, and that's where we'll cover it. All right. Okay, let's see. I'll just choose maybe one more. All right, one US stock. Very quickly. Let me just see. We have. Okay. Palantir, right? PLTR, mini Palantir, PLTR. What level to sell, right? Okay, let me just go cover that. Palantir, PLTR. Let's take a look at it. Let's go, right? Okay, there we go. This is Palantir. This is Palantir right over here, right? So as I said, guys, any stocks, right? Whether is it the markets, the index and stuff, based on this 1GD Pro indicator, we have a blank chart. Most people look at it like that, right? But I say because of this indicator that I have, just turn it on, pump. We get an opinion in seconds, right? So if you see a bearish signal, then of course, please don't rush to buy because we could see selling, right? So take a look at Palantir. I think previously, not too bad. In fact, I think it was one of the top performing stocks last year in 2024. We got 2 bullish signals all the way up from here, bearish signal, 155, 56% in about 3-4 months. All right. And there we go, right? Bearish signal came down a bit and another bullish signal shot up. But let's see what has happened over let's see, right? Past 1-2 months. Well, we got a bearish signal coming out. So there was a bearish signal. Of course, it has came out not just like last week when tariffs was unleashed, right? In fact, that was in last month, right? A bearish signal. The 20 days moving average line started to point down flat. All right, another bearish signal as well. So I would say not out of the woods. All right, I think meaning what level to sell. So I'm not too sure you bought previously. Is it you bought previously? Maybe you want to sell. Well, I would say to reduce some exposure because we got some bearish signal coming out. In fact, since February we have sold off. So if you're sitting on profits, I'm not too sure if you're like got in $30, $40, $50. You're definitely making some money, mini. All right, so not too sure when you bought it, but I think we are seeing a bit of selling pressure. All right, still, where would be the support? Support maybe a little bit somewhere around that $65 to $70. I guess where we rebounded. All right, rebounded as well. All right, 2 days ago rebounded, and resistance maybe all the way to this 100. So that is kind of like the range, maybe 70 to 100. So I think if you're looking to sell, maybe, right, just maybe because, as I say, the market is a bit more bearish, right? It's not so easy that we can just break a resistance and pump, it turns to a bull market and it starts going up and what, right? No, we might probably be still capped below this 100 resistance. So meaning what level to sell, assuming you've got in, you're sitting on profits, I would say could try to maybe, lock in some profits, maybe near the 100 level, maybe anything from, now it's what, 88, right? So anything from 90 plus, 91, 92, 93, 95, 98, 97, 90 something, all right, near 100, I think that is where some selling pressure have started to came back, right? Down, all right? I'm not too sure whether it's down here again, but essentially over the past 2 months, we have seen selling pressure or potential retracement coming in near the 100. So you're looking to where to sell. I think near 100 could be a level to take some profit, get out, reduce some exposure, all right, for now. All right, so that's Palantir. Mini, I hope that helps. Let me pass on the mic to Bervin to cover his next US stock that you guys are asking about. Bervin, all yours, go ahead.
Thanks, Joey. Okay, so I think the next stock I would like to cover, I think Chiseng will come back. I think you're asking is NVDA and you're intending to buy one of those stocks. I think a lot of people are asking, hey, yeah, dropped quite a little bit, breaking a few of those key support levels. So I think a lot of people are asking, hey, should I be buying? Should I be selling? I think it's a very, very good question. We want to actually look at what the trend is actually looking like for NVIDIA at this point. So I think let me just turn off this 1GT buy and sell signals for a little bit. As you can see, I think prices have very, very clearly started to slope down a little bit. We see this lower high starting to form already. So that's generally not a good sign for the longer term trend as of now. But we have seen some of those key support levels, coming back as well. We have that $80 support that is still present. I would say still present, still a very, very good support level that prices have recently approached. We are back to some time where we were in the early of last year. Prices had approached this level in the last week or so, and we also had prices rebound to above that $100 support level as well. Yes, the day before and yesterday night as well. So I think that is a good sign. That could be perhaps a good initial sign that this is a temporary support that we could use as a gauge whether prices are able to hold above this psychological level. But what doesn't really look very optimistic is the 20 days down trend or the 20 days moving average still showing weakness in that downtrend. So I think I will put a somewhat what we call like a buy zone close to that 100 level, but let's monitor to see if that 100 level holds, because if it doesn't hold, like I've said, the next support level could be close to that $80 level. So I think Chi Seng, if you're looking to buy, I think like what Joey have mentioned, do not have to rush in to go for an entire big position. Nibble a little bit, you know, buy in multiple tranches, buy in multiple batches, because ultimately, I think is still a good counter, and I think Trump have, you know, reversed the or say reverse the tariffs or reverse the restrictions on the H20 chips that has been exported to China from NVDA. So a lot of those major companies are still looking to buy, all those Chinese major companies are still looking to buy these NVIDIA H20 chips. So the backlog has resumed lah, in a sense. So, but what level do we need to look out for that higher lows to be actually broken in order for us to resume that uptrend that we are looking for? I think the very, very immediate level we have to look out for would be around that 115 to that 120 level, which I think previously we have also saw sellers come back in. So we want to finally break above. We want those buyers to come back and take control of the narrative, to say, to have that 20 days moving average gradually pointing up, you know, heading back above that 200 days and that 100 days moving average. Yep. So I think if you're looking for a bargain, I think this is one of those few levels, but definitely have a plan if those key supports are broken. Okay, so let me turn on the buy and sell signals from the 1 GT indicator. We see that there's not just one, not just two, not just three. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 bearish 1 GT signals that have actually appeared. So that means the selling pressure in the near term still very, very, very much intact. We don't want to see prices break below the $80 level, another 1 GT bearish signal break again below another 1 GT bearish signals. So that is not what we want. So if we were to turn on next my trailing support and resistance line, you can see that when prices had rebounded in on Wednesday, it actually approached that trailing resistance very closely. So what happens if that trailing resistance is broken? We will have that trailing support come in play, then a sign that the nearer term trend could be stabilizing or could be heading up. So I think, like we said, that 115 to that 120 level is the next level you want to watch out for. She's saying if you're actually, you know, in positions for NVIDIA. All right. Okay. So that is just a very, very quick one for NVIDIA. Next, can I pass the time to Z to cover the next stock?
All right, thanks, Melvin. Okay, so let me just share my screen very quickly. Okay, so the next stock that I'll be covering, right, will be by Jeannie. So Jeannie, saw that you actually is one of the first one to actually ask today, right? Kindly advise about US Ring Central. Okay, not too sure, you know, whether are you still holding this US Ring Central, but let's take a look at it, all right? Because for the past year or so, since 2024, this stock has kind of like just been moving sideways. If we take a look at this, right, just based on, let me just turn this off, okay? So that it's not so messy. Okay, let's just purely take a look at the trend itself, all right? If we take a look at the moving averages, it has kind of like just been moving sideways, especially with the longer term trend, red and the blue line. It has kind of just been going sideways, but in between, of course, we do have, you know, short-term strength, weakness, up and down, but generally, it's kind of just moving sideways, right? And let me just turn this back on. Okay, so then what is actually happening over the past few months, right? What we actually see somewhere actually during the end of the year, you know, price actually rallied all the way up, right, in December, to where we see it's about this 42 levels right over here, right, which is also considered a resistance, right, because this is where selling pressure came back. And then we started to see a 1 GT bearish signal coming out right over here on 27th of December. And this is where the 20 days moving average has also started to slope downwards, right? And that's where more selling pressure actually returned. I mean, of course, it did rebounded a bit. You know, buyers started to came back in at about $32, but subsequently another 1 GT bearish signal came out, right? And this is where we started to see prices started to fall even more. And now this is where we are at. Price closed at $23 yesterday, right? But at this point in time, in terms of the longer short-term trend, don't need to say because short-term trend we see right over here, the green line is definitely pointing down. I hope no one is telling me that this is pointing up. It's very clearly is pointing down, and there's still no signs of it actually, you know, going sideways or even pointing back up yet. But if we look at the longer term trend, you know, remember when I said over here, during 2024, it's kind of just going sideways. But right now, if you take a look at this, the 100 days moving average, which is the red line, right, it's actually attempting, and it's actually sloping down more, right, since like February and to where we are at in April. It's actually sloping down even more right over here, and it's actually attempting to break below this 200 days moving average, and that is actually not a good sign, right, in terms of the longer term trend. Plus we actually see that, you know, this level that I've actually highlighted over here, this 25, right, I should actually change this to a red color lah, because why? Previously it was actually a support level, right? It has been rebounded, price have rebounded this level, you know, near it, and it has been holding above this 25 level for some time, right? But somewhere in right over here, somewhere in April, right, start of April, this is where price actually broke below this 25 level, right? That means this support has turned to become what we call a resistance, so changing it to red, right? And now price is actually trading below this very key resistance level, which is a 25 level. And plus we are seeing some signs that the longer term trend is actually, you know, breaking down, right? It's actually the red is actually breaking below the blue, which is not that great. So in terms of this, I would say at this point in time, I'm not too sure, Ginny, are you still holding on to the stock, or you are actually thinking of buying into this stock? But at this point in time, if you're thinking of buying, I would say no lah. Maybe you can potentially wait a little more and you know, monitor it first, because at this point in time, the trend doesn't look that great in terms of the short term and as well as the longer term, right? And if let's say you're holding on to this stock, I do hope that you actually have some trading plan in place. Of course, I don't hope that you actually buy somewhere near the high. If you actually did, and now it actually break another support level, I do hope that you actually reduce some exposure lah, to actually, you know, not to have so much losses that you are sitting on at this point in time. Okay, so this is a very, very quick one for RNG. Back to you, Joey, to actually cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. Great analysis, right, on Ring Central. Still negative for now, all right? So let me go to cover the next US stock, and let's see, right? Let me share my screen. That would be, I think, the very popular one that a lot of people are asking about, like Jay asking about Meta. What price do you think Meta will bottom out? All right, let's see. I think another one of you asking about Meta as well. Here, Catherine, right level to buy Meta. Basically, I think all of you are looking to buy Meta, right? Why? I think quite cheap, quite cheap. So what level to buy? Should we buy today, tomorrow, next week, right? What price level should we think about buying? So let me go to find out, and let's see what is happening. So you can see for Meta, right, quite a heavy sell down. Definitely one of those stocks that you want to think about nibbling a little bit, not say anyhow buy all in, no, all right, nibbling a little bit, because it's one of those very strong longer term uptrending stock. I mean, look at the red and the blue line, 100 days red line, 200 days blue line. They are both pointing up. So since like 1-2 years back, the longer term trend has been up, right? But it doesn't mean that the long term trend is up means the short term is forever up. No, right? Because we actually saw this short term trend actually turning down, right? That was in April last year, turned down as well, all right? And even before, all right, the whole entire reversal in 2023, the short-term trend and the long-term trend was down, right? Only when we saw a very good reversal, or maybe even a bullish signal, then we started to move up. So later we turn on the 1GD Pro indicator to see what it says. But now I want to go find out what are some of those really attractive price level, the fact that we have sold off by about, let's see how many percent, right? About 35, right? 35%, 35%, right? In about 1 over month, right? It looks really, really attractive. So let's see what are the next support levels, all right, that you guys might want to think about buying some, or not buying some, but nibbling, right? I want to use the word nibbling, right? Not buy sounds like you want to buy everything, right? No. Nibble a little bit, all right? Because we are not out the woods. The short-term trend is still down. I've not turned on the, bullish and bearish signals yet. Later we get another confirmation, but right now, without even turning it on, you can see that the green 20 days line that was moving up has started to slope down. Is it going to go down even more? I have no idea, but right now it is still down. Does it make sense? So the short-term trend, unfortunately, it is still down. So we may still see weakness in the short term. We are not out of the woods yet, right? But what are some support levels to buy if we do see some short-term weakness coming in and it dips? Where could you actually think about getting in? Well, I think that would be a very key level right over here, somewhere around the 4. Okay, let me just draw it for you. I think somewhere over here, 420 to 450, right? 420 to 450. Why do I draw this levels right here? Well, you can see that just last year, There was where we were supported, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Rebound. All right. So I'm not too sure exactly whether we'll hit to those levels right over here, right over here. I'm not too sure exactly when it will happen. I mean, based on what we see from here, if you look at it, this zones, all right, until over here, anything from 420 to 450, right? I'm not saying that you will hit there, as I say, right, guys? But if we do hit that, I think it looks really, really attractive to nibble, right, a little bit, all right? And I think that would be really exciting, right? I think there would be a lot of, upside potential if one can really get in near there. All right, so that is some of the levels to take a look, right level to buy Meta. But as I say, right, we want to get more confirmation before really getting in to write any reversal. So nibbling some is nibbling some. Getting in on a confirmed reversal position is getting in on the a reversal position, right? It is totally different, right? Because nibbling means that you are okay with it going down, or in fact, you want it to go down because you want to buy cheaper, right? So that's called nibbling, right? The mindset is a little bit different. But if you're talking about really getting in, right, because now the reversal has come, it's going to make its way up, like maybe we have seen from here, right? Then that's a different story. That's where you want to load up. Has it been a time now to load up? Not yet. Tomorrow, maybe not yet. Next week, I don't think so also, right? Let's turn on the 1GD Pro indicator to see what it says. So previously, right, let's take a look. Look at this, right? So I just turned it on. That was in 2023, right? Bearish, down, all right? A bullish signal right here, another bullish signal, and we start going all the way back up, right? Question, have we seen this bullish signal? Have we seen this, right? Let's take a look. No, right? Haven't. All right, we have not seen it. In fact, we got 3. Now I just turn it on, right? So you can see, guys, I just turned on the 1GT Pro indicator, pump on it, pump off it, right? Seconds, you get an opinion. Let's turn it on. There we go. Not 1, not 2, but 3 bearish signals. So actually, previously in August, not too bad. We got a bullish. All right. So if you have got in from the first bullish signal right here, all the way up, all the way here, hey, not too bad. 44%, right? 44% in about 4 or 5 months. All right. But then, right, when you see a bearish signal, as I say, it could guide you to get out, take some profit. Don't be greedy. All right. And that's what happened. If you got out, great, right? Because that was the first bearish signal, and then we got 2 more coming out, and it went down even more. All right. So 2, 3 bearish signals came out. We are not out of the woods yet, as I say, right? Something like the market's short-term trend is down, bearish signal is in play. If I can quickly turn on the trailing, all right, resistance, so you can see, right? Now with the first bearish signal, now a trailing resistance pops out, right? That follows Meta as the price goes even lower, all right? Down, flat, down. So you go down, you follow it down, right? And are we still below this trailing resistance at about 600? Yeah, so the trailing resistance, we can draw it for you. I mean, in fact, this is drawn for you right here, is $600. So I think 600 is a very critical psychological level. If we stay below 600, also where the trailing resistance is. In fact, just last night we kind of like push away from this 600. All right. So if we stay below 600, unfortunately, we're still looking more down and up, right? More bearish than bullish. All right. Perhaps heading towards these zones that I talk about, anything from 420 to 450 or right over here, that could be a very attractive opportunity. All right, so that is Meta. I hope that you have a better idea on what's happening right now and probably when to nibble some when the time comes. All right, so yep, I'll pass on the mic back to Bervin to cover the next US stock.
Thanks, Joey. Okay, I think Stacy was asking to buy Bank of America, okay, one of those financial institutions. Okay, let me just add my screen up. Okay, so right here we have Bank of America. I think usually in for banks in the state of expansion, just their share prices usually do very well. So as you can see in the start of 2024 up to I think the end of last year, I think it did rather well as well. So if you can see, since the start of last year, it dragged all the way up. It went up for about 50%. So, but when now if we are in a sell down, once it started to sell down, it had also sold down by almost more than half of what it had previously gained last year already. So I think as there's worries about a recession in the medium term, the bank prices or those financial institution prices had actually started to sell down. But are we at those key levels to be starting to accumulate again? I think it's still a little bit too early to say, but we are testing that support level actually of that $33 to $34 where actually prices had previously was a resistance earlier back in last year. It broke up, came back down, tested this, came close to this level, and then right now we are back here again. So could it go lower? Could it go lower if this $34 level is going to hold? I think nobody can tell you that, as we also have the earnings upcoming for Bank of America as well. But if this level is also broken, I think it looks like the next support. So we just have to actually just look back a little bit. The next support could be around that $30 level. So let me just change this to a green color. So not the best lah. So it will seems like there is another 11% downside that could possibly happen, because that 100 days moving average have already started to point down. That 20 days moving average is already pointing down. The weakness is still there. So I would not say to rush in, Stacy. I don't think you should be rushing in to buy Bank of America. Let it consolidate a few days. It has been holding above that $34 level quite steadily over the past week or so. Let's monitor coming weeks if this level continues to hold. I'm okay to buy a little bit more expensive, to wait for that confirmation, as Joey has said, to give you that little bit more conviction that the trend has resumed. We're going to see a little bit more recovery coming into the market. But as of right now, the market hasn't really recovered yet. The volatility is still high. The fear is still high for a recession. So we want to be a bit more careful. So here is the support level, I think, that is currently, that may be tested as well, or currently intact. I think that would be around that $40 level, right around where that 20 days moving average is as well. So if I were to just turn on my buy and sell signals for quick opinion, we see also quite a bit of 1 GT bearish signals that are still present, 1, 2, 3. So we want to be a bit more careful in the nearer term. We don't want that 33 to 34 levels to be broken, so that prices can hit down to that $30 level. So if that $40 resistance level gives way, I would draw the next resistance up towards that 48 to maybe even that $50 psychological level for now. So if I were to turn on next my trailing resistance, you can see that trailing resistance is very close to that 40 level psychological level. Want prices to actually stabilize a little bit, hold above this $34 level. I think would be a very important sign that prices could head back towards that 40 level and eventually break it. But how long will it take? I don't think anybody can tell you. It could be next week, next month, next year. Hard to say at this point. So I think Stacey, be a little bit more patient. Set some alerts. You could set some alerts where prices approach that 39, 40 level. Just have to right click and alert on your trading view chart, maybe 39, to just let yourself know that that resistance could come back to be tested as well. So just take a back seat for a little bit and just wait for a while. All right, okay, so that is for Bank of America. Z, can you bring us through the next stock?
All right, thanks, Mervin. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, so the next stock that I'll be covering will be this stock called ASML. And I saw VJ is actually asking about this ASML, and you're saying that you currently holding on to it at about 685. And we can see that, yesterday price closed at 649, right? Okay, so let's take a look at this, right? Before I actually turn on all the signals, we just take a look at the trend first itself, okay? We focus on the trend, right? So if we look at this, the trend since from 2024 all the way to August, right, it is pretty good, right? Uptrend intact. We get a confirmation when the longer term trend crosses over. But subsequently, somewhere in August, this is where prices started to reverse back down, right? We start to see a very steep decline in the 20 days moving average. Short-term trend is down, went up even lower. And this in October, this is where we actually get even more confirmation when the longer term trend crosses each other as well. And currently, where are we at? We are at this point whereby the blue is above the red and it's above the green, right? And if we take a look at the longer term trend, the 200 days moving average is still pointing down, right? There's still no signs of it actually flattening out or turning up yet. But the 100 days moving average, I would say, is kind of like flattening out a bit. But short term wise, if you take a look at the short term wise, which is the green line, it is actually still kind of like pointing down, right? It's not really looking like this, right? This is actually going up, but right now there's still no signs of that yet. So in terms of trend wise, I would say for this particular counter, the trend at this point in time doesn't look that great. It doesn't look that great, but I do understand, ASML, some of our clients that we have spoken to, this is one of the counters that perhaps, they have convictions in the semiconductor industry, right? And perhaps this is some of their longer term portfolio holding. So my question to you, BJ, is that I'm not too sure whether this stock, is actually part of your short term trading plan, or is it part of your longer term holdings? Because if it's part of your longer term holdings, some of the questions that people might ask at this point in time would be, then where is the potential position, or where can I potentially position myself for entry, right? To actually keep this as part of my longer term holdings, because people want to accumulate on the dips, especially for their longer term holdings, right? So if this stock, right, is actually part of your shorter term trading plan, like just to go in, go out, then I would say, particularly for this stock, perhaps this is where you want to actually, follow your trading plan. Where's your targets? Where's your stop loss? Follow your trading plan accordingly, especially so during times like this, because it is very volatile, right? And you want to perhaps might have a tighter stop loss, because prices could swing either way one day or another, depending on what Trump actually released tonight again as well. Because I also don't know, Joey also don't know, Bervin also don't know, right? So in terms of, if let's say we are talking about longer term portfolio holdings, and you're thinking of where to actually accumulate this, what we want to see is that, we want to see more stabilization first. And what do I mean by stabilization? If we look at the trend itself, we want to see something like this. Let me just highlight this over here. Something like that, whereby we actually start to see the 20 days moving average start to point up, and then the both longer term average at least point sideways first, not like this. Currently, what we see now is actually pointing down, right? So what we want to see is something like that. In terms of the trend, it gives us a little bit more confirmation of, the trend is actually stabilizing rather than continue to free fall, right? And as you can see over here, I've actually drawn one of the support level right over here, right, at this 560, because this is where prices actually rebounded back up from somewhere in September, October, this period, right? This 1 to 2 months period in 2023, right? Prices managed to hold above it. And right now, we can see like over the past few days, prices are actually near this level, right? It still have not broken this level yet. I'm not too sure whether it will hold or it will break, this level, but we want to monitor this very crucial 560 level to see whether prices is actually able to hold above this level or not, right? And if, like I mentioned, if let's say you're thinking about a longer term portfolio, this is part of your longer term portfolio holdings, right? Then perhaps this is where you can potentially monitor and position yourself for entry. But that being said, remember to actually take note of what I've mentioned earlier on in terms of the trend, right? It doesn't mean that, okay, if next day the price go back to this level, okay, I buy immediately. No, because we still want to make sure that the trend is actually giving us more confirmation that it has actually stabilized first. All right, so let me just turn on the buy and sell signal to have a look as well, okay? So for VJ, you're saying that you're actually holding on to it at 685, right? And over the past few days, we actually see that, there is actually a 1 GT bullish signal coming back in, and this is likely because, let me just turn on this trailing support. We can see that, on this day, the day that we have a very long bullish candlestick right over here, 9th of April, this is where price actually closed slightly above this red line, which is the trailing resistance line. Hence, there is actually a 1 GT bullish signal being triggered. But I mean, there can be strength coming back in during a longer term downtrend, right? But overall, if let's say there are more signs pointing to it being the stock is actually not so great and it's in a downtrend, this is where we also want to protect ourselves, right? Protect our downside as well. And based on this, let me just turn all of this off so not so messy, okay? So based on this, right, we can see that right over here at around this 760, this is where the resistance can be at, because right over here, selling pressure came back. And then this was when price was actually above it, rebounded, broke down, and then this whole period prices was testing this 760 level right over here, right? So I would say that this 750 level right over here has been tested multiple times. The more times the level is being tested, the more weight we actually give it to, right? So I would say 750 level would be one of the resistance that perhaps you might want to set some price alert on. I'm not too sure if prices actually, today, tomorrow, next day, next week. I don't know, right? I don't know if price will actually really go back to this level. If it does, great. Perhaps that's where you can consider to actually exit your position or take some profits, right? Take some profits. At least put the profits or put the money into your pocket first. Because during these current volatile times, you know, people don't want to have too much exposure into the stocks, right? Especially if you don't have the stomach to actually don't have the risk appetite to actually stomach this whole current situation at this point in time, right? So okay, so by the way, I also want to take this chance, right, to actually answer a question by, I saw Chiho, right? Chiho is actually asking this question. So the question is, can TA still work in this extreme volatile market caused by Trump's flip-flop in tariffs, right? So my answer to this is that I would think that technical analysis can still be effective, especially for longer term investors. Because if you're asking about, if let's say, because longer term investors, what they are mainly thinking of doing is to accumulate during market dips, right? And times like this, it's actually indeed like a market dip, right? The S&P 500 and the DJI, they actually dip quite a bit just in a couple of days, right? It's quite a lot, it's quite significant. And such times don't usually come very often, right? So for longer term investors, they are thinking of accumulating on the dips. And this is where, you know, technical analysis in terms of support and resistance based on the daily candlestick chart, they actually can still provide valuable insights even during choppy conditions. But however, if you're talking about, you know, swing trades, you're talking about you know, get in, get out very quickly within a couple of weeks, I would say based on the current market volatility driven by, you know, the Trump's unpredictable policies, right? One day say this, the other day say that, you know, kind of like flipping prata, right? It makes things very much riskier. So, you know, all this kind of sudden news can actually invalidate all the chart patterns that we draw in terms of very short-term trading. So if that being said, if that is your trading plan, you know, for short-term trades, right, you perhaps might want to be a bit more cautious because if you are trading in the short term, because of this kind of environment, you might want to think to adjust the risk management and perhaps maybe stay more selective in the entries all right, so I hope that answer your question, Chiho. I will pass the time back over to Joey to actually cover the next stop.
All right, thank you so much, Z. Very good explanation there. All right, regarding like the market volatility, can we still use like TA, right? I think it's a very good answer as well. All right, essentially, I would say that, yeah, the market's been volatile, right? Very volatile due to Trump's policies, you know, on, off kind of like tariffs, pause and unpause kind of thing, right? So definitely, you know, we are seeing huge swings in the market, not just on the market, but on the stocks as well. But TA allows us, I mean, just by looking at, let's say, from the 1GT indicator, right, the signals, it gives you an idea as well, right? So even though you're going for the longer term, but longer term, you're looking to buy and hold and keep, you want to, you know, just nibble a little bit, average down a little bit. Well, I think if the counter is good fundamentally and strong, right, that's fine. But technically, you want to also know when could be a decent, attractive price level to think about getting in, or maybe when to get in more when the reversal really comes. Does it make sense? Rather than just getting in anyhow, bit by bit, you also don't know why you're getting in, right? You're just getting in because it's cheap and you just buy and buy and buy and buy and buy, go down, you buy. You know, you could be buying every single month for the next 10 months. I mean, then after 10 months, what happens? All right. We don't want to just buy unnecessarily as well, right? That's why we call the word nibble, all right? We don't just call buy anyhow, all right? Because technical analysis does guide us, all right, in terms of knowing when to get back in when a firm, you know, reversal actually comes back. So the time has not yet appeared yet. It might come. Not next week, maybe not next month, all right? It depends on the market, all right? Unless Donald Trump suddenly say everything, no more tariffs, sorry, apologies, let's go back to 0%, or maybe the market will start to become a bull market, right? I doubt that will happen, all right? But you never know, right? Looking at the way he just, you know, roti prata here and there, you never know, all right? So now let me go ahead to cover the next stock, and that would be TSM, right? Taiwan Semiconductor. I think who's asking about it? Let me just see, right? I think Jay, you're asking about it. What's your unbiased take on TSM with all the risk coming from China? So TSM, pretty much, I would say, one of those really badly hit semiconductor firms, right? Especially now with the escalation of the trade war between US and China. And of course, you know, Taiwan Semiconductor, I think there's some operations factory in China as well. So definitely will be hit with, you know, both increasing their tariffs, US, now tariffs on China goods coming to US, from 34% to 84 to 125 now become 140%, right? You know, it's ridiculous level, all right? And for China, they're also, you know, increasing. I think now the tariffs on US goods into China is about 84% still, all right? And I think just came out last night that they are restricting, Hollywood, movies or production into China as well. All right, just to retaliate a little bit. All right, so that's why we're still seeing weakness, especially on many of those US companies that has operations, factories, manufacturing plants in China. Imports into the US will be hit massively. All right, so they get hit definitely much more. All right, so let's take a look at this Taiwan semiconductor. Quite clearly, we have two bearish signals. So you can see, right? I just turn it on right now just to save time. You can see right over here. Pump. Let's turn it on very quickly. We have two bearish signals coming out, not just last week or last month. In fact, since like January, all right, January, we have already a bearish signal. All right, so if you have been alerted, not last week or last month, but in January, you might already have taken some profit, get out, right? We've got first bearish signal, a second one came out and it went down even faster, all right? Is there any bullish signal right now? Like this thing over here, all right? Like this thing over here, or like this thing over here? No, right? Haven't yet, all right? I have no idea when it'll come out, but when we see a bullish signal pump, yes, that could be signs of strength of a reversal potentially coming back. Not yet. It hasn't come out yet. So I would say, unfortunately, still weakness in the short term. And if you look at the 20 days moving average line, the green line, since January it was flat. February point down. Is it still pointing down right now? Do you bluff yourself? Up means up, down means down. Still pointing down lah. All right. So the short-term trend is still down. So I think back to your question, right? What's the unbiased take? Well, I would say that for TSM, because it's pretty much in the sector whereby at the forefront of this China-US escalation of trade war, we could really still see more selling. So this one is really nibble of a nibble, all right? Don't need to rush, right? Don't need to rush, all right? We could really still see some weakness. Where could potential support levels be? Just to give you an idea, it could be anything from here, all right? The 110, right? 110 is pretty much back to where we were in 2023, right? Resistance, right over here, a bit of support. So it could be anything from 110. Now it's what? 151. Yeah, it's still a little bit down, right? So it could be 110 to 120, all right? It could be 120 as well, 110 to 125, maybe right over here. That was where we were supported as well just last year, right? So look at this, that rebounded right over here. So if you look at these zones from here to here, it could at least give you an idea of where potentially, all right, some support level can come back. It doesn't mean that you go there and it will surely rebound. No, it doesn't mean that. But based on past prices, where it has rebounded, right, we may see some bargain hunting happening right there. All right, so be patient. All right, be patient. It sounds a bit boring, right? Be patient, right? But for this, it just shows, we're not out of the woods yet. All right, we're not out of the woods. Short-term trend down, bearish signals still in play. If I can quickly turn on the trailing resistance, let's take a look at it, right? Look at this, right? So when we have the first bearish signal coming out in January, now this time it flipped, right? We got a trailing resistance, flat, and it follows TSM as it moves down, follow. Now it is right over here. So as long as you stay below the TR, the trailing resistance, unfortunately, still weak, all right? 3-4 confirmations all pointing down and up lah. So just be a bit more patient. All right, Ken J. So I hope that helps a little bit. That is a TSM. And by the way, guys, I mean, essentially we have this 1 GT Pro indicator, as I say, right? We can simply turn it on and off, right, in terms of the signal. So we have, this is a Pro indicator, but we do have a light version, the One Good Trend light indicator, like a simpler version whereby you can simply just turn on the bullish and bearish signals, like what you see over here, pump, and it gives you an idea of, what to do, right? If you're seeing a bearish signal, maybe not buy, maybe get out first, right? If you're seeing a bullish signal, yeah, then maybe think about buying, or maybe think about riding the reversal. Does it make sense? So if you want to have access to these guys, we do have a light version free trial. All right, my team will just place the link in the chat. All right, and you're going to click on the link. That's where you can get access to our One Good Trend light indicator. Test drive it for free. All right, test drive it for free. The link is right in the chat. All right, and that is pretty much, once you click on the link in the chat, you will pretty much come to this page right over here, right? Most incredible free gift ever in a stock market. All right, we're talking about stocks, but you could use it for any asset classes, whether it's gold or crypto, forex. Well, test drive my One Good Trend light indicator, which pretty much seconds, 5 seconds, less than 5 seconds. Turn it on, get an opinion based on the bullish or bearish signals, right? So you can see right over here, plus you get $3,997 worth of pure money making information for free just for testing it out. check it out. The link is in the chat. All right, so that you can also just do what we are just doing, right? In terms of being guided on what to do. But if you see a bearish signal, I say probably just want to be more patient. All right. So let me pass on the mic back to Bervin, all right, to cover his next US stock. Bervin, all yours?
Thanks, Joey. Yes, so I think the 1GT light indicator is very, very useful during the time of like increased market volatility. Those quick opinions can help you to get in out very quickly. So to protect your profits or to reduce your losses. So speaking of which, I think Catherine is asking about this PayPal. But I think someone else was also asking. I think Mini was also asking about PayPal that she has actually bought at 124 previously. All right, so I think Mini, I think if you are bought at 124, that means you have been holding onto these PayPal stocks for quite a while. I think maybe sometime during the end of COVID or even during the height of COVID, you had actually bought into this stock. So where are we now for PayPal? So for PayPal, I think a very key resistance or previously was a support that was broken already sometime in February, was this 75 level. This 75 level, as you can see from the past, in sometime in 2023, in July of 2023, we had the prices test that level. In May of 2023, prices had actually tested that level. And finally, in September, it broke above. It became a support, tested it once sometime in February, and we broke below it. So if you notice this, $75 support now has turned into a resistance, which is right around that 200 days moving average as well. All right, so this is a very, very key level. I think kept under, may not see much bullish or much buying interest that could come in as well. So I think the key support level, I would say, as of right now, would be around that $50 to $52 level that prices had actually rebounded from in 2023. Could we head back to that level? I think likely if that selling pressure continues. Right. So if you are actually holding on to this counter, looking to stop losses, I know it can feel a little bit painful because you bought at that 124 level, but I think it's time to consider a stop loss plan, because you just don't want that losses to keep widening as well, especially if that $50 level is broken, that downside could continue. So of course, it being a payment processing company, do you think in a recession the amount of payment processing will increase or decrease? I'll leave it up to you to find out the answer. But I think as of right now, it looks like a little bit of a lower highs have been forming. Lowest high has been forming, especially with the slight rebound, that nice bullish candlestick that had appeared, but it did not manage to hold. We did not manage to see any further up move, especially yesterday night. We still pretty much kept under the immediate resistance of about that $64 to $65. All right. So if I were to just turn on that 1GT buy and sell signal, for sure you could see there is 1GT bearish signals that have appeared. Let me just draw these out for you. Okay, so on. Okay, so that is your temporary resistance that is present at this point. So we have that 1, 2, 3, 4 1GT bearish signals that are still here. So you want to be a bit more careful if that maybe that $50 level is broken, another 1GT bearish signal could come in as well. So no signs of that 20 days moving average flattening out just yet. That 100 days moving average is also pointing down. If we were to be just looking back slightly, if prices look like this, sometime in this, they got a little bit of a consolidation before an up push. I would say notice that the 20 days moving average had crossed above that 100 days and 200 days moving average. But right here, we see a flip of the situation. The 20 days moving average crossed below that 100 days, 200 days moving average. So it's a reversal of a trend. Of course, in a reversal of a trend from an uptrend to a downtrend, you do not want to be buying. You want to be alerted towards these signals to actually help you to get out of that position first, to give you a chance to take a back seat to actually just monitor first as well. All right. Okay, so lastly, let's turn on that trailing support and resistance. Could see that the trailing resistance, giving that stock a little bit of space to breathe on the upside. is around that $68 level. Still a little bit higher, still a little bit more to go before we are able to actually even see any signs of reversal. So I think, Mini, I think time to consider a proper trading plan to see if, is it time to get out? I mean, definitely not a time to be buying more as well. All right, okay, so that's for PayPal. Z, can I pass the time to you for the next stock?
All right, thanks, Mervin. Okay, so let me just share my screen very quickly. Okay, so I saw Damien is actually asking about this, right? Hi, Joey, Mervin, and Z. I would like to ask about Williams Company and Intercontinental Exchange bought at 171 and 60 respectively. So in view of the shakeup, let him know our thoughts. Okay, so maybe I'll just cover. Okay, let me just remove this, okay, because cannot really see the chart. Cause the text is a bit too long. But okay, anyway, let me just cover very quickly for WMB, all right, which is Williams Company. So for those who don't really know about this company, right, I think this company has been on our Steam watch list for some time already for this particular stock. And this company basically it is involved in, let's see, oil and gas pipeline, okay. And if we just take a look at this particular stock, the trend, right, compared to all of the tech stock, the growth stock that we have, previously covered just now, it looks very different, right? It looks very different. This one, if we just look at the trend itself, that means the red, the green, the red, and the blue line, it is not as bad as those that we actually saw just now, whereby it is on the reverse, right? Whereby we are seeing the red, the blue above the red and above the green. But whereas this is the flip side, right? This is the flip side. And if we take a look at this, the trend itself, I mean, longer term trend wise, it still look okay, right? It still looks okay, right? Because in terms of the red and the blue line, it is kind of still going upwards in an upward trajectory, right? At least it is not going down. It's not going down. And in terms of the shorter term trend, we do see some fluctuations up here and there, whereby we see some weakness, and then after that, buyers came back in, and then it kind of flattened out. But right now, it is kind of flattening out as well again, right over here, over the past couple of days, right? And one of the key things that we can see from this chart, right, as well, is definitely prices actually trading in a range bound situation since like November, right? Because this is very clearly somewhere at this 51.50 to 52.50, this level right over here, we can actually see, this is where the support level is. Because why? Prices back in November, this is where it was being kept below for at least a few weeks, right? Maybe 1 to 2 weeks or so before it actually break above it. And after it broken above it, when it came back to retest this level, it actually managed to hold above it one time, neared it. And over the past few days, again, same thing, managed to hold above this support level right over here, right? So I would say this is one of the support level that perhaps you might want to take note of, right, for Damien. And in terms of resistance, this is also somewhere the resistance whereby we saw selling pressure coming back in. So somewhere near this 61.50 to about this 62.50 level right over here, right? This is actually where we saw selling pressure nearly came back in. This time, one time, two times as well, right? So in terms of support and resistance, these are perhaps the two levels that you can actually monitor. So let me just turn on the buy and sell signal to have a look as well. Okay, so very recently, we do have a 1 GT bearish signal coming out on the 4th of April, right over here. And it doesn't mean that the stock will crash, right? Because we have said this many times. When we see a 1 GT bearish signal, it doesn't mean that it will crash. It just means that there's more selling pressure coming back in. And I mean, of course, the entire market is in a very panicky mood, right? And especially because of the Trump, and there's a lot of fear in the market. So this company, I mean, of course, is not spared as well. We also do see like a dip, right, a gap down, and this is where prices are at. But at least what we know is that it's actually still holding above one of the key support level right over here, right? And because for Damien, you mentioned that you have already bought at about $60 over. So right now you're still holding on to this counter, but do think about your stop loss plan, right? Do think about where do you want to exit. If prices, if this company gets affected, maybe by another news released by Trump, right? I'm not sure whether this 51.50, this level, this support level right over here will actually hold. But do have a stop loss plan in place. I'm not too sure, where is your stop loss, your initial trading plan is regarding your entry at about $60. But if at this point in time right now, if I were to say where would I place my stop loss, right, I would say it will probably be somewhere slightly below this level right over here, maybe about like around this 50 level or slightly below 50, like 49 something, because I want to give it a bit more room to breathe, especially during these market conditions whereby the stock can be so volatile, right? And you might never know, right? But if this is for your longer term portfolio, then perhaps you can actually set some price alerts as well. And apart from price alert, the other alert that you can also set would be setting, right click, set alert on the signals. So meaning to change it to this, and I can actually change it to buy or sell alert once per bar. And let me just change it to WMB, right? Great. So these will actually alert me whenever there's another 1GT bullish signal that actually comes out for this particular counter. All right. So Damien, I hope that helps in terms of the technical analysis on these aspects. Perhaps you might want to set some price alert, and especially these two levels in terms of the support and resistance. All right. So that would be for WMB. Back over to you, Joey.
All right, thank you so much. Let me go ahead to cover the next stock, and I think that would be let's see, right? I think that would be Apple. All right, AAPL, one of the most popular, all right, stocks in the market. Let's go ahead to discover whether is it a good time to buy or maybe wait and be cautious, right? So let me just quickly share my screen right now, and here it is, right? This is Apple. This is Apple. So let me just go to turn off, right? Just turn off the signals from the 1GD Pro indicator very quickly. You can see that definitely quite a massive sell down, right? Quite a massive sell down for Apple from about $260, right? Just about December, right? 3 months back, right over here, all the way down, hitting a low 34, 35%, rebounded a little bit, but about 34% from the peak all the way to the recent low, right? 34% looks really, really attractive, right? Definitely one of the stocks in our watch as well to nibble a little bit. I mean, it's still a fundamentally strong stock. And you can see that we are now back, right? Looking at this level, 170, 180. We are pretty much back to where we were just about 2 years back in 2023. So if I can draw this support level, I can just draw it for you right over here. Somewhere around, let me just show it to you, right? So in case some of you are looking to nibble, not anyhow buy, all right, but nibble a little bit, let me share with you guys what are some of the support levels, right? Look at this. Resistance here, rebounded, same thing. That was where we have seen a rebound, all right, over the past 2 years, right? And in fact, just over the past week, we headed to near here, this green horizontal support line that we rebounded 3-4 times, and we saw a rebound, in fact, from here as well, all right? But you can see last night came back down, we pushed back away from this resistance. What is the resistance? I'll come to that in a bit, but anything from 165, maybe give a bit of allowance, right? 160 to 165, 160 to, let me just draw 2 lines, right? Right away, yeah, like something like this, right? 160 to 165. Those are pretty attractive levels back to 2 years, kind of like multi-year lows, where you could nibble a little bit, right? As I say, I've been using the word nibble. I've not been saying just buy anyhow, but really to nibble a little bit because that is a very attractive level. But you must be okay that the short-term trend is still down. We are not out of the woods yet, right? I think I've mentioned many times on the counters, right? And that's what we're seeing for most of the counters in the US, because even the very strong stocks got hit as well. Look at the green 20 days moving average line. The short-term trend is down. Is it still down? I mean, yeah, it obviously still pointing down right now. So short-term trend is down, right? I can just turn on quickly, all right? The 1GT Pro indicator. Let's take a look at the signals pump. There we go, all right? Even before last week's selling, right? We in somewhere in March, early March, last month, we actually got a bearish signal, another bearish signal. It starts going down more. So 3 bearish signals, and you know, we are, you know, and we hit down even more. So are there any bullish signal? Like this. Look at this right over here, right? We got 1, 2, 3 recently over the past month, right? Same thing like this, right? 1, 2, 3, all right? And then what happened? Yeah, we got a bullish signal, another bullish signal. It starts going all the way back up, right? Are we seeing this thing yet? Are we seeing this bullish signal happening maybe right over here yet, or here, or here, or here? I have no idea when it will come, but when that happens, that will be a clearer confirmation of a reversal, especially with the green 20 days moving average line. This green line, you can see, right, was down. We had bearish signals in 2024. Down. The green line was down. it starts reversing up with the bullish signal as another confirmation. That's exactly what we're looking for, right? And of course, what we can do is that we can set alerts, right? So some people might always ask me, hey, Joey, like, so do you mean I have to every day, just like, type Apple and then we take a look at the signal and then we see when the bullish signal comes out? Well, you don't have to do that. I mean, you can do that if you want, but what we could do is to set an alert, right click, set an alert, all right? Choose one good trend based on this indicator, a buy alert. Like you buy and sell, right? Buy or sell, right? Buy or sell alert once per bar and create. So when the bullish signal comes out, I will receive an email, an app notification, and that's where I can go in and see. Does it make sense? All right. So it has not come out yet. So unfortunately, still a bit of weakness in short term. However, I do agree that it looks really, really attractive. Anything from 160 to 165, that could be kind of those levels whereby one could really, really think about nibbling some of these really good, fundamentally strong stocks. All right. So Ian, I hope that gives you a bit of a technical idea of where we are right now. We are at 190. So still a bit of a allowance, a bit of a, space towards the 160 to 165. All right. So they have to rush. All right. I think try to get in a little bit cheaper, that would be better. All right. And yeah, I mean, based on your question, right? No, do you reckon AAPL will be collateral damage since they have production in China and be subjected to 145% tariff? Definitely, right? So Apple being, most of the iPhones and stuff are made in China and stuff shipped to the US. So definitely it will affect the whole supply chains, their factories, whether to ship it back to US and all that. Definitely, right? It is a huge, I mean, that's the reason why we are selling down. All right. So all these are still, I mean, yes, been priced in a little bit, that it could still be priced in more. All right, as things unfold, as it flows down into the economy and all that, but we're not out of the woods. I think you've heard me say it many times for the market and so for many of those stocks. All right, so that's Apple. Let me pass on the mic to Bervin. Go ahead to cover the next stock.
Thanks, Joey. Yep, I think there's a good point where I think a lot of those counters have been hit by the tariffs. I think another one that is also not spared and is also part of Donald Trump's what I call entourage would be Tesla as well. So I think it has also been hit by the tariffs. It's not spared. I mean, a lot of their parts, a lot of the Tesla car parts are being imported from China as well. So production numbers have dropped. So of course we have seen a little bit of a volatility coming in. But since Donald Trump's inauguration, we've also seen Tesla prices, the share prices actually started to hit lower as well. So let me just turn off that trailing support and resistance for a little bit. We have that one GT bearish signal that actually came in, and we saw prices have actually dropped by about 40%. Okay, as of yesterday, about 40%. So not too good, but where are we heading? I think that support level of about that 220 to 200 level has been holding up. So it's a good sign as of now. As of now, I would say that it looks like that has provided a little bit of a stability in the share prices, but we have been kept under pretty much that 295 to 300 psychological level thus far as well. So if we want to look for a little bit of a opportunity, maybe to get in if you're a longer term holder, you still feel convicted about Tesla, I think these are the two key levels that you could be watching. Why is that 290 level, I think, a very, very key resistance? I was just seeing this the other day as well. It is coinciding with three factors. We have that 200 days moving average at that 290 level, that horizontal resistance right around there where we actually see prices have previously tested as well, and we also have that trailing resistance that had actually came in. We are currently at that level. The trailing resistance is not headed lower, so that's a good sign, but we are still being kept under it. So there's three factors pointing to that 290 to that $300 level to be that level to be watching very, very, very closely. We want prices to maybe just move a little bit sideways, then break above that level, which perhaps could show a little bit of strength for that 20 days moving average as well. So I think that 220 level is one key level to watch, but I think many people are also saying, or many people also have the thought that if this key level is broken, this 220 level is broken, we may see it hit back towards the previous low of that 160 as well. So that is a pretty substantial downside from where we are right now, or from that support level. There is another 20% downside. So you want to have a little bit more certainty, I would say, before you get into a position like Tesla. I think nibbling a bit may still also potentially give you a little bit of a risk for the downside, because the stock has been very, very, very volatile over the past few months. It's not shown any sign of recovery. Every time it recovers to a key level, that $300 level, we actually sold back down as well. So I think that's a very quick one for Tesla. Still nothing showing strength just yet. Maybe some things you can do would be to just set some alerts close to that 220 level, and potentially one more above that 300 level if it's broken, to come back and just monitor to see whether the trend has resumed, or the uptrend has resumed as well. All right, go now. I'll pass the time to Z to cover the next stock for you.
All right, thanks, Bervin. Okay, so the next stock that I'll be covering will be another counter which is quite popular, and this is Microsoft, MSFT, right? Because so this is one of the giants in terms of the tech in the tech industry, right? Sorry. Okay, so for Microsoft, ST is asking, what's the support, please? Okay, so let's take a look at this stock. All right, I mean, this stock, over the past few years, those of you who have been holding on to this stock for very long, perhaps, you know, some of your gains have already been, if you didn't take any action along the way, right, when you're actually holding on to these stocks, perhaps some of your gains might have already been erased just over the past couple of months, right? Okay, so this stock, in terms of the trend itself, starting from 2025, we actually start to see some signs of weakness actually coming back to this particular counter. Why? Because first thing first, if we look at the trend, we are starting to see that, you know, the 20 days moving average actually has crossed below both the longer term trend, and it's actually pointing down, right? It's actually pointing down. And in terms of the longer term trend wise, it is also still showing some signs of weakness as well, because you see the blue is actually above the red and it's above the green, right? And that is actually a classical sign in terms of, if we look at the trend, if you look at the moving averages, it's actually a sign of a downtrend, right? And if we take a look at this, in the bigger picture, right, in the bigger picture, right over here at this level, which is this 380 level right over here, I mean, if I cover it like this, it is actually a very strong support level, right? It was actually a very strong support level. But what we can see over the past couple of weeks is that price actually broke. It has tested, yes, it has tested this level right over here. But subsequently, it broke down below this 380 level. So this 380 level, essentially, it has turned from what we call a support level to actually a resistance level, right? And as of yesterday, price actually closed at 381, which is currently still testing this 380, because of course not too sure this week, next week, whether it can actually hold above this level or not, right? So those of you who are thinking whether you can actually nibble in a bit, right, on Microsoft, based on what Joey said, nibble, right? We always use the word nibble at this point in time based on the current market condition, right? Even though yes, it may seem like it is very cheap, but we want to wait. The key thing is here, we want to wait for more stabilization first, because at this point in time, do we see any of this moving averages kind of like heading sideways? Not exactly at this point in time, right? And right now it's testing this 380, and if prices can actually continue to hold above this 380 before actually heading higher, and we actually starts to see the 20 days moving average kind of going sideways like this, right? Let me just change this to green. Like so, if we start to see it going sideways and prices actually able to hold above this 380, turning back, this 380 from a resistance to become what we call a support level, then perhaps this is when we can also start to look to position ourselves for entry. But of course, some of you might say, hey, but actually, if I buy at 380, the price is a bit high already. Yeah, if I could buy at 360, 340, wouldn't that be better? I mean, yes, definitely, right? If you buy at 340, 360, you would have probably already made some profits. But the thing is that when you actually buy here, the question is, when you sleep at night, can you sleep peacefully or not? Because at this point in time, I'm not sure whether the price will actually continue to go down, right? At this point in time, right over here, right? We wouldn't know, right? We wouldn't know. And I actually saw a comment just now somewhere. Somebody was saying that they actually felt a bit FOMO when they missed the boat of the rebound, right? But yeah, like over here, this very long green candlestick, I mean, I totally get that feeling, because especially like a rebound like Wednesday, it actually rebounded so much, right, just in a single day. But here's the thing, right? We can only know all these things in hindsight, correct? And if let's say the market didn't rebound, and if let's say Trump didn't actually say the 90 days pause, and the stock actually, the market continued to go down, would you still say that, wow, I feel FOMO, I never get in. Probably you would already be saying, wow, lucky I never get in, right? Because the stock continue to go down, right? So the thing is that the key that I want to bring across right over here is that we want to see and watch for more stability first before actually taking any action, because in current times like this, it's really too volatile, right? It's really too volatile. So okay, so going back to the support level, right? So going back to SE, your question in terms of the support level, so perhaps you might want to set some price alert at this 380 as well, and to monitor if prices can actually hold, like what I mentioned, to hold above this 380, because at this point in time, it seems like it is actually testing this 380, but I'm not sure whether it can actually hold above it or not. But this is where you can potentially monitor. But one of the key levels, the other key levels that you might want to take note of would be at this 340 right over here, because this is where, you know, price actually nearly rebounded, didn't touch it, but rebounded from this very close to this 340, right? So if prices is unable to hold, you know, above this 380, and if it were to retrace back down, then perhaps this is where is you can potentially position yourself for entry. But of course, we do want to watch for more stabilization in terms of the moving averages flattening out as well. Okay, so I hope that helps, SE. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to actually cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. All right, so I think it's about 12 p.m. Let's just go one more round. All right, I'll just cover one more stock, Bervin and then Z, and then we'll go on to share with you guys 3 of the stocks that you might want to put in your watch list. All right, so I'll just go on and pick one more stock right now. And let me see. Let me just go to share my screen. And that would be Quest Diagnostic. I think, Wilson, you're asking about it, right? Okay, that would be my last stock that I'll be covering for today. Wilson, hello. DGX broke the stop loss. Where is the next support level? All right, let's take a look. So DGX, not too bad. In fact, I think DGX, for this stock, is one of those pretty good uptrending stock in the longer term. Just by looking at the red and the blue line since last year, look at the red and the blue line, both pointing up, all right, red above the blue. So long-term trend is actually quite okay, quite okay, right? But of course, in the short term, we saw weakness in September, all right, in November, all right, in May last year, all right, and of course, recently over the past 1 month, okay? So we can see weakness in the short term, right, even though the longer term trend is up. So that could be actually, as I say, it's a good opportunity to think about getting in, to nibble a little bit, or maybe to buy more when you get a confirmation of a reversal. So let me go ahead to turn on the 1 GT Pro indicator based on the signals, 1, 2, 3, pump. There we go. All right. And let's take a look at what has happened over the past 1 year. So not too bad. You can see for DGX, yeah, I mean, previously we got, look at this, right? So bearish signal, bearish, all the way down. Wait for this, all the way back up. A bearish comes back down. All right. Wait for the bullish signals. Look at it, bullish signals. And it starts moving up from here all the way to here. 19%, about 5 months, right? Bearish signal came down a bit. And most recently, all right, a bearish signal in December, just about 4 months back, came down, and we got 2 bullish signals coming out. There we go, up all the way. Well, 12% in about 2 months. And what happened over the past week? Well, not so good. We got 2 bearish signals coming out. And of course, if you take a look at the green line that was going up, flat, now, starting to point down. I'm not starting like really point down since last week. Now it is still slightly pointing down. So I would say, like for Wilson, right, it broke the stop loss. Where is the next support level? I would say next support level could be, if I can draw it for you. So we got, just take note now, we got 2 bearish signals. So short-term trend is down, plus 2 bearish signals. We could see a bit of weakness in the short-term. Question, right? You're asking where could we think about buying? Well, I would say right over here, anything in this level here, 100, or I mean, look at this, right? Something like here, 144, 144, maybe all the way to around the 148. So let me just draw 2 lines, and you can see based on these 2 lines, it's pretty much where we were holding here, all right, since July last year for more than 8 months. And we can take it and place it right over here. So that would be kind of like the zone. Anything from 145 maybe to 150, 155. I think that is the zone whereby some bargain hunting might actually come back. And it looks pretty attractive right over there, especially the longer term trend, as I say, is still up. So for this stock, you can see, right, longer term trend up. Every time we got a bullish signal, it starts reversing, right? So now, don't have to rush. I mean, the bearish signal just came out like a few days back, only not one but two bearish signals. So just be a bit more careful. We might go down and down. The green line probably still sloping down a little bit. All right, something like this, right? Was sloping down, flat, pump. So same thing. I don't know, like down, flat, pump. Right? Wait for it. Get a bullish signal as a confirmation. Right? I mean, what we could do is we could set an alert, as I mentioned just now. Right? An alert, buy alert, once per bar. Done. All right. So thanks for alerting me on this. All right. I set a buy alert. When that bullish signal comes, I will be alerted. And that's where I could probably think about, loading up more to really write a reversal that is firm more. Okay. So that is DGX Quest Diagnostic, right? Quest Diagnostic. All right. Wilson, I hope that helps. All right. And let me pass on the mic to Bervin to cover the next US stock.
Thanks, Joey. Okay, I think next one, I think we're running out of time, but here we go. So I think Eric is asking, so he's looking to rebuild his portfolio after cashing out in I believe in the last few days, normal. Okay, so I would like to ask about FTNT Fortinet, cybersecurity company. All right, great. I think Eric, nothing wrong if you have cashed out already. I hope you got out with some profit. Then now you're looking to buy into some stocks. Maybe I will cover Fortinet for you. So just let me okay, here we go. We have Fortinet on the screen right now. Okay, so we are seeing some good signs for Fortinet. Obviously, we have that 1GT bullish signal that had appeared on the same day where prices have rebounded. So things like Fortinet, which is a cybersecurity company, sometimes they can hold up rather well even in a recession environment. As long as business continue to run, operations continue to run, companies still need to have some form of cybersecurity or some form of IT in place to protect their business as well, correct? So I think should be your initial thought. That's why you're looking at Fortinet. But I think right now, as of now, one good sign is as most counters have broken, or the most counters have seen those key support broken and the prices have headed lower, Fortinet had staged like a very, very strong rebound, I would say. Pretty decent rebound from that $80 level. From close to the $80 level, we actually seen that buyers have actually come in to push prices back up towards earlier this year. So it had pretty much withstand that tariffs coming in, that recessionary fears. It had rebounded very clearly towards that $100 psychological resistance. All right. So with that 100 psychological resistance currently in play, I would say could we head higher? I think let's first look at that 20 days moving average. That 20 days moving average. Let me just turn off that 1GT signal for now. So we know that there's 1GT bullish signal that's still present. It had started to point up a little bit, and we are looking to consolidate. Our prices looks to be consolidating below that $100 level. No break above yet, no breakout signals just yet. We are pretty much in a consolidation pattern, or initial consolidation pattern, where the prices, as I mentioned, have rebounded from that close to the $80 level. All right. So we want to wait for a little bit more confirmation is fine as well. If we manage to break above that 100, we could push prices, or prices could be pushed towards that 115 level. Just again, sorry, let me just change it to red. Okay, so let's read there, red here. Okay, so these are the two resistance levels. So let's take a look at where the trailing resistance is at, or that trailing support, as that trailing resistance have been broken. That trailing resistance, as you can see just right here, just slightly above that $81 level. So we want prices to hold above this level. We want prices to consolidate closer towards that 100 level, and potentially, if you see an opportunity where prices stabilize above this 100 level, psychological level, that's when potentially you could get in. I'm not too sure if previously I've been holding Fortinet, but you could get in again. But just be a little bit more careful, because market has been volatile, as we have been mentioning since the start of this live session. You want to be placing a stop loss or an alert to let yourself know if the 100 level gives way again, because you could see prices head back towards that $80 level. But I think it's a very, very good stock pick, Eric. I think it's a counter that should be on your watch list. It has been holding up rather well, I would say, comparatively to the rest of the market. So continue to monitor it. I think there is no rush to rebuild your entire portfolio get in, and then now you have 100% of your capital back. Maybe just get in for 20%, 25% first, just to see where it hits. And if it goes higher and the trend resumes, no one is to say that you cannot be buying as prices continue to go upwards again. All right, okay, so I'll pass the time now to Z to cover perhaps the last stock request.
All right, thanks, Bavin. Okay, let me just share my screen very quickly. Okay, so I think Jing Hong is asking about Google, right? Google. So let's take a look at Google, because Google is also one of the more popular stocks that quite a lot of people are actually looking at, or probably have some in their holdings, right? So in terms of Google, it is definitely not spared from, like, you know, the market weakness, right? Whereby we actually also started to see some weakness returning back to this counter. Then slightly somewhere in February, this is where, you know, the price right actually reached a high near this resistance at about $200, right, where we started to see some selling pressure actually returning, right? And this is where we also see a 1 GT bearish signal coming back in, and this is where price actually went all the way down, and it actually closed yesterday at 152, right? 152.82, and we also saw another 1 GT bearish signal right over here. Right now, in terms of the short-term trend, it doesn't look that great, right? Because of course the 20 days moving average, as we can tell, is still actually heading down, and the 200 days moving average, it is also gently kind of like sloping down a little, right? Not too sure if it will break this 200 days moving average. If it does break this 200 days moving average, then I would say the trend not that great, not that great. But in terms of this counter, you know, a lot of people have also been asking us whether is it a good time to actually buy into Google, right? Because it's one of the major tech companies that people might want to hold for the longer term as part of their longer term portfolio, right? As you can see right over here, this green box that we have drawn, this is actually a position, a place, right, where you can, is a level where you can actually position yourself for entry. But like what you mentioned, like what we mentioned, right, because right now the stock, it is actually reacting very volatile. It is very volatile in terms of what is actually happening over the past few days. And if I just noticed this, right over here, we can see that. Let me just click into this. Okay, so you can see right over here the heading, right? It actually says that EU, okay, EU is actually going to actually tax big tech firms, right? If, okay, let me, right, okay, so EU could actually tax big tech if actually Trump trade talks actually fail, and this is actually said by the EU president, right? And that being said, you know, companies such as Meta and Alphabet might be affected, and this could actually also affect the bottom line of the companies itself. So at this point in time, prices seems to be testing this level, right, which is near, you know, this 150 support level right over here. It was actually a support because, like we've mentioned, prices actually rebounded from it one time, two times right over here, right? And right now, over the past few days, it seems like it is actually testing this level, but not too sure whether it will hold, right? So as you can see right over here, I've also set my price alert already, right, at this level right over here within this green box to actually see whether price can indeed actually continue to hold above this 150 support level. If it doesn't, then where potentially can it head towards, right? It can potentially head towards the next level right over here, around this 130 level, because this was where we actually saw prices, buyers came back in to bargain hunt, right, and rebounded from right over here in early March 2024, where price actually gone all the way back up to 190. So at this point in time, I would say if you do want to actually get in on Google, perhaps you might want to watch for a bit more, like what we mentioned, always like for more stability, and don't go all in, right? Don't go all in, because the thing is that if you go all in now, I mean, perhaps I'm not too sure, right, whether if it can even hold above the 150. If it doesn't, then that is where you probably would have already been sitting on some losses, right? You want to go in a bit by a bit, like what Joey said, to nibble on it, right? To nibble on it. So for Jing Hong, these are some of the levels that perhaps you might consider watching as well, to see definitely if over the next couple of weeks whether can price actually hold above this level. And just FYI, I saw that the earnings is actually coming out at the end of the month as well. So this could be another factor that, you know, have add that another additional layer of volatility to this particular counter as well. So just FYI, all right? So that would be for Google. Back over to you, Joey.
All right, thank you so much, Z. All right, so I think, guys, we have covered, I would say, a total of 15 stocks today. All right, so let me just go ahead to do a quick run through because some of you are actually asking about the same stocks again. Like Haley asking about SPY. I think that would be pretty much like the S&P 500 index that we covered right at the beginning. So I'm just going to cover very quickly, all right, all the stocks that we have covered today, those stocks that you guys asked about, right? So that if you miss any of them, you can go to watch the replay. And before we talk about the 3 US stock that each of us will share, you might want to put them in your watch list. They still look pretty resilient and strong in current market conditions. All right, so let me just share with you guys quickly what has happened, right? So we covered the Dow Jones. I covered the Dow Jones and the S&P 500 index. Do check it out. Very important. I talk about some of the very, 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 very key levels, why you want to be patient, where you could potentially nibble for the entire market as well, why the short-term trend is still down. We are not out of the woods. I see this many times, right? So watch the video, all right? Watch the replay for the markets. Very important, all right? And after that, I shared on the stocks that you guys asked, right? So I did a quick market outlook as well, right? Talking about why we are seeing selling over the past one over month. It accelerated the past week, all right? We rebounded 2 nights back and now we are back down again, all right? What has happened, right? So check it out. I think it's you get a little bit clearer on that as well, right? Okay, so I talk about the very first stock that you guys asked about, and that would be number 1, PLTR. Number 2, NVDA, NVDA. Z covered Ring Central. I covered Meta, right? Meta Platform, Bank of America. Number 6 was ASML, all right? Number 7, Taiwan Semiconductor, the code is TSM, all right? Bervin covered PayPal, Z covered Williams Companies, back to Apple, AAPL, I did that, Tesla, Microsoft, Quest Diagnostic, number 14, Fortinet, and Z just covered Alphabet, right? Code is GOOGL. So that is pretty much the 15 stock that you guys asked about. Hopefully we covered your stocks, guys. It's almost 2 hours already. So as I say, our apologies, guys, if we cannot cover, there's more than 60 over stocks today. All right, so my apologies if we cannot cover all of it. Hopefully we can see you in the next Ask Me Any Stocks live session, and we'll try to cover them as well. But as I say, guys, if you find it valuable and you want a quick opinion, just like us, just typing in the name of the stock that you asked, but we did not cover, you can do it as well. As I said, we do have a free trial of the One Good Trend Like indicator. So I have the 1GD Pro indicator. If you have found more about that, you can attend a free webinar. It's still not ready yet, the webinar, right? But to test out the Like version, whereby it's simpler, it just gives you the buy and sell signals without all the advanced features. Go ahead to click on the link in the chat. All right, and that's where you can try out in terms of these bullish and bearish signals. Just click on it. You get some of the training as well to guide you on what to do based on these signals. Right, whether is it a bullish signals or a bearish signal. So you see, turn it on, turn it off. You could do it on the stocks that you wanted as well. All right, just like what we have done, you can do it on your own. Okay, so now let's move on. All right, to the bonus stock. The very first bonus stock that I'd like to share with you today, and that would be Berkshire Hathaway. Code is BRK.B. So I've talked about this stock. If you have been following me, right, for our few AMAS US live session, this is one of the stocks in our longer term portfolio, holding it for a while. Pretty strong longer term uptrend intact, and you could see that since last year, right, even 2 years back, long term trend, red above the blue, 100 days pointing up, blue pointing up, red above the blue. So since 2 years back, we have been pretty much in an uptrend, right? BRK.B. Team, can you just put the name out, all right? So you can see right here, longer term uptrend, but in the short term, it doesn't mean that we are always up, right? We could go down. Look at this, down, all right? Bearish signals down, all right? So we could also see weakness in the short term for Berkshire Hathaway, right? And it happened. We had bearish signals coming out over the past 2 years. But the question is that as it hits now, what happened? When do you want to get back in? All right, for the reversal, for the bullish move back up. When? Well, when we were to get a bullish signal coming back like this. Look at this, right over here. Another one, there we go. Another one, there we go. Right over here, there we go. Right, so we want to wait for a bullish signal. So let's take a look at it. What has happened over the past 1 month. So in fact, right, since December, we got 2 bullish signals. The 1, 2, the short-term trend, the green 20 days moving average line that was going down, started to point up, all the way up. So pretty good, right? Pretty good. But what happens was last Friday, we got a bearish signal coming out. That was when Donald Trump, Liberation Day, all right, introduced the reciprocal tariffs, market down by 5-6%, Monday down 5-6% as well, right? Look at this, right? But when we take a look at this, we got a bearish signal, we came down. So we actually broke the trailing support. I can show you quickly why we have a bearish signal. You can see, right? Look at this, right? So when the first bullish signal came out in January, right, we went up. A trailing support pops up. This trailing support follows a stock. It accounts for volatility. It gives the stock space to breathe and to hopefully move higher. All right, and we were above it all this while. So it looks pretty good, right? Until the Liberation Day last Friday, right? Then we pump, right? We went below it. That's where the bearish signal comes out, right? So yeah, we did see a bit of weakness, right? Sell down, but you could see some bargain hunting actually came back near this support level. So I would say that, Berkshire Hathaway is one of those really very pretty defensive stock, I would say, right? Each time it comes back down, people are looking to buy, all right? Support level, if I can draw it for you, right here, 460, maybe all the way to this level. So I'm really not too sure whether you go to like 440 to 460 because we have staged a pretty good rebound already. All right. And in this case, I mean, stocks that we talked about previously, right? We talk about the bearish signal coming out and we talk about the short-term trend actually down, the green line pointing down. And we mentioned that you want to be more patient, right? You want to be more patient, you don't want to rush, you want to nibble a little bit when it goes there, right? Because the short-term trend was down, right? I mean, it's a very clear sign the short-term trend has turned down. But if you look at Berkshire Hathaway, right, the green line, it was up, and it is not down. I mean, it is like flat. Does it make sense? All right. It's not like, it's like down. Does it make sense? So it's not down yet. So it's not like, wow, you want to be very careful and stuff. It's like, a little bit of profit taking, which is correct. Because we did see some resistance, maybe near the 540 resistance level. You can see selling below this horizontal resistance. So this green line flattening out, this means that we have found a little bit of an obstacle, a bit of a selling zone, maybe from 520 to 540. Then that's where you could take some profit, right? You might just consolidate below that for a while, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month. All right, depends, right? And that would be where selling can happen. So, if you want to think about getting in, I think anything near that 460, 480, very attractive because we have got the confirmation of this very good bullish candle coming out as we headed to this 460, right? That was where we rebounded from in January to February as well. So pretty good, I would say, support zone. Also where the longer term, look at this, right? The red line and the blue line is right over there as well. That's where the longer term moving averages, which represents the longer term trend, acts like a dynamic longer term support level as well. So it kind of coincides with, this 460 coincides a lot of this price level, a reversal bullish candle, the longer term trend is there, all right? And that's where we got bullish signals previously as well. All right, so I think that's where you could think about getting in. Definitely one of those stocks in our watch list, to get back into bargain hunt because even though we got a bearish signal last week when we broke the support, the trailing support, but it is not really that bearish, right? It's just going down and down and down like some of those that we talk about. Does it make sense? All right, so this is the first bolder stock I share with you guys that you could potentially put in your watch list to write maybe a good reversal or good rebound when the time comes and it does dip a little bit more. All right, so that's my first stock, Berkshire Hathaway, all right, BRK.B. Let me pass on the mic to Bervin to cover his bonus stock that I'd like to share with you tonight. Let's go.
Thanks, Joey. Okay, so I think we are going in that same direction. So we are going to be a bit more defensive going forward, at least for the next 1 month. So another of the defensive stocks that I would like to introduce to you guys would be this stock called Philip Morris. All right, Philip Morris is a tobacco manufacturing company. All right, so may or may not be on some of your watch list already. It was one of those stocks that, of course, also affected a little bit by that sell down, but you can see it had actually stabilized quite a bit. So it had not been, it has not been shifted out of that consolidation range. The consolidation range is still present between that 140 support, I would say 140 to 145 support, all the way up to that 160 level. As of yet, it has not broken out of this range, whereas most of those other counters that you have been watching, some of them could have broken quite a few support levels. So the immediate support level for Philip Morris had remained very, very stable, very close to that 100 days moving average that is still pointing up. Still the 200 days moving average is still pointing up, and like Joey have mentioned, for Berkshire Hathaway, it has been moving in a very similar fashion. We only see that 20 days moving average going a little bit flat, and this is a very similar situation since 2 weeks ago. So nothing much had changed. It's been remained very, very resilient in the market sell down as of now. So what we are actually want to be looking at is actually the longer term trend. As you can see, since early of 2024, Philip Morris prices had started to hit back up after a little bit of a boring period, not doing much or not moving much since the start of 2023. Had started to move up higher. That 20 days moving average starting to slope up. That 100 200 days moving average has started to slow up, and it shows no signs of slowing down just yet for the longer term trend. So what we want to see would be actually, or what we could actually consider to monitor would be if prices hit back towards that 140 level, maybe even up to upwards of that 145 level. Could that be a chance for an accumulation, especially if that 20 days moving average continues to be a bit flat, with that 100 and 200 days moving average still pointing up? Yes, I agree, it's not a very exciting counter. It's just a moving sideways, consolidate a little bit, move up, consolidate again, move up. Now we are in the next consolidation phase. So we could continue to be in a consolidation phase, as the economy weakens a little bit as well. So I think it is one of those counter that can help you to preserve your capital, to help you to diversify your current holdings that you are currently having in your portfolio as well. So if I were to turn on that 1GT buy and sell signal on this day right here, one day just after we have that 1GT bullish signal came in, we have that 1GT bearish signal actually came in as well. So what does this mean? It's very similar to what has happened in the past. It's actually looking to be a sign of a consolidation phase that could be happening, where we have multiple buy and bullish signal, bearish signal, bullish signal, bearish signal. This is why is this happening? Is because sometimes prices are just moving up and down slightly in a range. Thus, when it goes towards that trailing support, breaks below that trailing support, that 1GT bearish signal could appear. Breaks above that trailing resistance, that's where that 1GT bullish signal comes up. So it's just a little bit of a consolidation phase. Nothing much going on just yet, but it sometimes in a market volatile market situation, boring is good. All right, boring is good. Just remember that. All right, so this is one of those stocks that is on my watch list, and I think also on Joey's watch list and also on Z's watch list. We are continuing to monitor defensive counters like this. So maybe I'll just let Z bring you through the bonus stock that she has in mind.
All right, thanks, Bervin. Okay, so with what Bervin have mentioned earlier on, right, our stock today, I think all of them are actually more defensive, on the defensive side of things. All right, and the stock that I am going to be sharing today, which is on my watch list, would be GLD, right? So this, if you guys can see my screen, so this is actually GLD, which actually is an ETF that tracks the prices of gold, right? And of course, for this stock, it has been in an uptrend, right? It has been respecting the uptrend for quite some time, right? It has been respecting the uptrend for quite some time. And the reason why, okay, maybe before that I dive into the technical part, right? Let me just share with you as to why this stock is in my watch list, and is one of the bonus stock that I want to share with you guys, right? Number one, if you guys actually do a bit of research, right, and go and search this thing called the Fear and Greed Index. At this point in time, the Fear and Greed Index, if you just do a quick search, CNN also has this as well. It is currently at 8, right? It's at 8, and it is currently in extreme fear, right? And when such situation happens, right, a lot of people and a lot of investors often fly to where would they actually go to? They will want to go to safety, right? And gold is often is often one of the safety instrument that people will actually flock to, right? Because it's more of a defensive asset. So that's number one. That's one of the reasons why I want to share with you guys about this particular stock, right? And number two, like what I mentioned, because of the strong trend structure, like what we have seen over here, 2024 onwards, even prior to 2024, 2023, even starting from 2023, this is where we actually see that the gold has been riding a very, very clean uptrend, right? And it has constantly been respecting the uptrend and the moving averages, and it has been consistently making like higher highs and higher lows, right? So that is the second reason. And number three is because if you can see right over here, yesterday we actually have a 1 GT bullish signal coming out. Because if you go and search, like, you know, a lot of the stocks at this point in time, right, as you know, right, we have been going through and talking about this for the past 2 hours. A lot of the stocks has been going down, right? And this is one of the few stocks that we actually still see a 1 GT bullish signal coming out. So based on all these three reasons alone, this is the reason why I want to share with you guys gold as my bonus stock for today lah. Okay, so that aside, let's talk about the technicals. Okay, technicals, if you take a look at this right over here, we can actually see some support right over here, right? Because the key thing now is people will be asking, hey, so gold, when can I buy into gold, right? Yesterday the price closed at 292. Is it very high now? Okay, let's take a look at where the support is, because when uptrend is intact, we want to buy near the support, because that is what we always say, right? So in terms of support, where is the support that we are looking at? It will be somewhere around this 275 to about this 280, this level right over here, right? Because this would be considered a support zone at this point in time, based on the information that we have, right? And if I were to just turn on this thing called the trailing support and resistance, let me just turn this on. And let me just zoom in right over here. See this, okay, because yesterday a 1 GT bullish signal just came out, right? And this very small green dot over here is actually the start of the trailing support line. Let me just draw this. Yeah, this right over here. Okay, this very small green dot. And it is very near, which is what we mentioned just now, right? About the 275 to 278. This level is where you can actually position yourself for potential entry, right over here. But of course, I don't know whether the price will actually come back to this level or not. But the key thing here is not to chase, right? We don't want to chase when the stock is actually too high, right? We don't want to the price is actually at 292, and right now you just, when the price open today, you just immediately go and buy it. No, we don't want to chase any stock as well, right? Because the key thing is also to be patient, right? To be patient and see if the price can actually retrace back towards the support level where we can potentially position ourselves for entry, right? Because the thing is that over here, right, we can also, one thing that maybe I can suggest to you guys, if perhaps what you want to do is to also set alert, right? To set an alert, for example, like this, to set the alert right over here. And the alert that I'm setting is actually price alert easy lah, right? We just set the price alert near this 275. But the other alert that I want to let you guys know, right, is this price alert called the 1 GT buy and sell alert. Because if I were to set this buy and sell alert, let me just put it very quickly, all right? So GLD, great. So this buy and sell alert will actually alert me if, let's say, there is another 1 GT bearish signal coming out. Because as we can see, the longer term uptrend is actually very strong, right? And every time we actually have a 1 GT bearish signal coming out, what happens next, right? We can potentially expect another 1 GT bullish signal. So now we have a 1 GT bullish signal. That's great, right? It gives us additional confirmation that the trend for this particular counter is still great, right? It's still great and it's still strong. But what we want to do, right, is basically position ourselves for entry, not to chase. So if we actually have another 1 GT bearish signal coming out, then maybe that can also alert you to, okay, this is a time that perhaps I want to look into this stock as well, right? I want to look into this stock. Where are the support levels? Where are the resistance levels? And where can I potentially position myself for entry? Okay, so if let's say the price do actually retrace, okay, if it does retrace back to this level, and this is where we potentially get in, right? Then where could the potential targets be, right? Because now price is actually at an all-time high. And when price is at an all-time high, how do we actually project our targets, right? So one of the way is that we actually also look at psychological level. So immediate psychological level that we are looking at definitely will be around this $300 right over here. Right, this $300 right over here. But of course, I don't know whether today, you know, if Trump says something else, then the gold actually shoot up, right? Be above $300. I'm not sure, right? But at this point in time, $300 would be a psychological level that potentially we might expect some selling pressure to actually come back. Okay, so perhaps these are some of the levels that you might want to set for gold to put into your watch list and monitor this particular stock as well. So the key thing here is don't chase. Okay, reminder is don't chase and wait for the setup to actually come to you. All right. So that would be for gold. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to actually wrap up today's session.
All right, thank you so much, Z. All right, very, very good analysis, guys. So I hope that you have taken note of the 3 bonus stock. This was staying all the way to the end, right? I covered Berkshire Hathaway, BRK.B, right? Bervin covered Philip Morris. The code is PM, and Z just covered this, safe haven stock that you want to watch as well. Gold, all right, Gold, GLD, SPDR, Gold Trust, pretty much an ETF that tracks gold prices, right? One of the safe haven whereby, in current volatile uncertainty market conditions, all right, you definitely want to watch it as well. All right, so yeah, I think we have pretty much come to the end of today's session. All right, so yeah, I think guys, if you have found value, right, we have covered your stock, just go ahead to type V for value, especially if we have covered your stock. Let us know so we can acknowledge all of you for just being here, staying here. Just type V for value. You found value in what we have shared with you as well. All right, let me know, just type V for value. All right. And yeah, I think we have pretty much come to the end of this session. And one thing about I want to share, guys, is that if you want to join us in our next Ask Me Any Stock session. So next Friday, I realized that next Friday is actually Good Friday. So next Friday is Good Friday. By right, we will be covering like the Singapore market in terms of AS Singapore session. But next Friday is Good Friday. So no, it will not be next Friday. It will be next Friday. So this team can just put the link in the chat. You can join us for our next Ask Me Any Stock session. That would be for next Friday on the 25th of April, right? 25th of April, join us for the Singapore market. That is where we'll cover on the Singapore stocks. So some of you are asking about the Singapore bank, Singapore stocks, right? So do join us. 2 Fridays later, we'll be covering the Singapore stocks. Thank you so much, Value. All right, Value. Thank you. All right, let's see who is here and saying value as well. Value. Thank you very much. All right, Colleen, thank you so much. All right, so glad that all of you got value. All right, got value. Thank you so much. And yeah, I think you come to the end of today's session. So same thing. All right, guys. We are all brokers in Philips Securities, right? One of the top brokers in Philips Securities as a reminder trader. So if you're actually trading you are trading and then you have a trading account, right? And you're not getting much service from your broker, you don't get any ideas or videos or trainings or WhatsApp, nobody contacts you and all that, right? Check it out, guys. If you want to get some of our top ideas by WhatsApp daily for free, you do not pay anything more. All right, check out the link is right in the chat. I forgot to mention it, right? I just want to put it there, all right, so that you can get some ideas for free, private training so much faster. We keep it for our VIP clients in Philips Securities, right? Check it out, click on it, check it out. And we look forward to work with you a little bit closer with my broking team as well. All right, this way you can get some of our ideas, especially if you're not getting any service from your own broker. All right, so what I mean broker, well, essentially you trade, you need to log into your trading account, and then whether it's a platform or mobile app or online platform, that's fine. But if you don't get any service and you're just doing it on your own, nobody send you any ideas, nobody contacts you and all that, you can't contact somebody by WhatsApp, check it out. The link is right in the chat. All right. Okay. So yeah, there's a link. Check it out to come on board as a VIP client of mine in Philips Securities, especially if you've got value, especially if you want those top ideas much faster as well. All right. So I think we have come to the end of the session. One last final note: if you want to get or test drive the 1 GT Lite indicator for free, I mentioned just now, that's where you could simply get an opinion on the stocks, right? Like for Berkshire Hathaway, click on it. You can see bullish and bearish signals on any stocks, especially if we did not cover your stock. I'll just place the link in the chat one final time. Test drive my 1 GT Lite indicator. Simpler version of what we covered, allows you to turn on the buy and sell signals in seconds, get an opinion, know exactly what to do, what not to do. All right, so that's it. Joey here signing off. Thank you so much. We look forward to see you in the next live session, 2 Fridays, 25th of April for the Singapore market. Take care. Bye everyone.
Bye.
See you. Bye.